So I'm Mindaugas, a new business developer in a game development market. And about 3 years ago, I came back after studies to Lithuania. And my best friend was actually at that time jobless, if you could say that. And we were just hanging out and decided to make a game. And that will be the main story overall, how everything happened, what we've been through, and what's happening right now and what's going to be in the future. So yeah, that's why I called it Making It Without Faking It, because we actually did it just from zero and we went up like a hero, if you could say that. Okay, so the birth of idea of the game, that it's called Garbage, actually came up in a situation where I think at least one person in the room ever been in a bar drinking with friends and saying, we should open up a bar, right? So that happened with us. We were just chilling, smoking, drinking, playing computer games, and we thought that we should make our own game. And it was pretty funny at the first moment, but then next week I realized that we can actually do it because we have all the resources. So for the beginning, I understood that we need a good team, and that's our team. One member is sitting in the back of the class. That's me and our programmer, Donatas. So I understood that if you want to actually make a good business, you have to have a great team, and that's what I've learned in my university. That was almost every day I was hearing the same thing, that the most important thing in any company is the team. So what we had in the team was a early level designer, early level businessman, and crazy genius programmer. Next thing that I was doing was the preparation, basically the first month before we actually got finances for the game. And this was kind of hard for the very beginning because it was the only one who was doing it, it was me. So first of all, I had to come up with the roadmap, talking with my programmer who was actually doing the whole game. So we had to estimate how long will it take us to actually make the game. The second thing was budgeting, which was part of where I had to think more about how much, like how low I should give pay for our programmer so he will work with me, and how low I can pay for myself so I can actually eat something. So, and then comes the financing. When you add all of this up, we kind of thought we're going to make the game in about 10 to 12 months. Before that, we came up with some ground rules, which is kind of a strange for a startup, because startup is, as a definition, is working in a very uncertain environment. But for the very beginning, we had 3 rules that we were not going to do any pivot on. So first of all, it was the game genre, which we decided to make an auto battler game because we love management games, auto battling, and simulation. And we noticed that in the Steam market, there's a huge lack of these games. And last several games that were made, they sold more than several couple of 100,000s of copies. So 2 of them that were kind of going after for was the Domina and Punch Club. And both of them are pixel art games, so we decided to innovate it a little bit more and make a 3D auto battler game. Then the next thing is the business model, because through all the 2 years of our development, we had so many people telling us, you should implement loot boxes, you should do a mobile game, you should do a crypto game, and so on. So we kind of thought that we're not going to pivot on this and not to do any DLCs or anything. It's just a plain game. We launch it and we have the game. No early access or anything like this. There's a whole game launch, very old school way to do it, but this is what we decided on and we never changed it. And the third one is to have an equal equity, because we understand that maybe the designer wasn't that good at the beginning. Maybe I was the guy who created the team and get the financing. Maybe the programmer is the one who's actually doing the most work and teaching us how to do it. But if you work all together as a small team, I mean, having an equal equity is the way to go. So we started the game development, and for the next 8 months, we had only development and nothing more. So the previous speaker that was here, he would be amazed. But for the first 8 months, we didn't even had Twitter, Facebook, or anything. Like, not a single post. Nobody even knew what we're doing. Some people were thought like we're drug dealers because we're not working anywhere. We're just sitting at home. But everything started from just concept art. My brother was drawing a lot of great stuff. We were thinking about the game design, the sounds, the story, and actually the first month was very crazy because we were just, that's my brother and that's me, and our web develop, like our programmers just doing everything. So one of the things what we realized by working in that way, the startup life, if you could say that the code goes first. So we were working in this kind of environment where we do everything what we can, but first there goes the code. Because if you don't have the game, there's nothing to market, there's nothing to show, and there's nothing to do, not design, not music, nothing. So our programmer was doing the code, and after he implemented one feature, we were just doing the sounds for that, we were doing the designs, the buttons, and so on. So for the first 8 months, we were actually learning every day from our programmer. I was doing some scripts, my brother was doing some 3D design stuff. So I think that our programmer kind of taught us how to work in a startup environment, which is based on game development. And yeah, and another thing that I realized that why I named this part as a startup life is actually that if you want to make something in a 3-person team, you have to work on your strengths. So that doesn't mean that if you don't have a good 3D designer, you gotta hire a 3D designer. You should try to think of a way of eradicating that thing. So for example, I'm a good music producer, so at some day I just decided I'll make the whole soundtrack for the game, and that worked pretty well. And the same happened with our programmer. He's the biggest gamer in the life I know, and he played so many games I cannot even count, but he knows how the game works and what's good, so we were just listening to him. And we have a great designer who draws a lot with hand, so we thought that the more you draw with hand, the better it will be for the project. So actually working on the strengths is the best thing if you're working in a small team. After 8 months, a very interesting situation happened. It was a pretty similar meeting to this, but it was some kind of a hackathon or some kind of a situation where they're presenting some kind of stuff. And there was a marketing, not marketing, the networking part afterwards, and I met my friend Rytis, and we told him about the game, and he offered us this kind of a thing that if you guys want to market yourself, you should do a Kickstarter. And we were like not really sure about it, but then we kind of made a little bit of research, then we realized we cannot really do it alone. So we needed some kind of a team that could help us make a video, maybe help manage all the stuff and so on. After a little bit of research, and I'm saying a little bit of research, that was actually, I think, the worst mistake that we made, that we didn't really research enough what's Kickstarter. We thought that Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform. So after joining our team, like joining our forces with Odd Films team, we started working on garbage Kickstarter page, video, and all marketing. Took us 2 months, and 2 months is a lot when we're talking about that our estimated time to develop the game was about 12 months. We took 2 months to write down all the scripts, to make all the GIFs, the pictures, reread it, to find people who are gonna help us make the video, to make the scripts for the video, and so on. And after that, we realized that there is no way to go back from this point, so I kind of pushed even more with Odd Films to make a script for the video, to get an actor who would act as a YouTuber, and so on. So we kind of went all in, and yeah, we made a trailer, we got filming and everything, and we thought that this will be the main thing that will help ourselves to make kind of a pre-sale of the game and raise some money and, you know, become famous, and everything's gonna be great. The most saddest part is the reality check. It's a crowdfunding campaign if you have a crowd. So yeah, it's actually maybe 10 years ago, let's be honest, maybe about 7 years ago, when the Kickstarter was more of a new platform, you could actually gather like money to fund your project. In the last 7 years, there were so many MMORPG scams that you could not actually do that anymore because people just do not trust Kickstarter anymore, especially for the game development. So if you want to actually raise money, you either have to have a game launched before, a huge community, or just make an absolutely amazing game, which as a free people team, like it wasn't really, we're not aiming to a AAA level game. The second thing we realized, it's kind of a free marketing channel. But then when you think again, 2 months of our all time, all resources just for this and not able to raise money, it's not really free. But when you think about it, there's still a little bit of people coming to Steam, to your community, to your Discord, after seeing that you're kind of making game about hobos fighting in the streets, which is kind of controversial, but people love it. So we kind of lost hope at this point. Then we decided that we can actually launch as many Kickstarter campaigns as we want, because we already did it, right? So we decided to make it with a decreased goal. I think if I remember well, the first goal was about 20,000 euros, and we thought that would be a decent amount for us to get started, or to continue working. And the second one, I think, was about 12,000, and that didn't work either. And on the first one, we got about 60%. On the second one, you would think that you would get higher amount, but you still get the 60%. Nobody's giving you the last money, so you actually receive the money. Everybody's afraid that you will actually make it, and then their money will be gone. Because before you reach the goal, all the money is distributed to everyone else. So you actually don't lose money. You can give about $1,000 to every game, but if they would not reach the goal, the developers are not getting a penny. So the first catch what we got is actually some kind of publishers noticed us and asked to have a call with us. So that was the best day of my life probably, because at that time in the team there was a designer, a programmer, and I was kind of doing nothing except some music, right? So I was finally having something to do, have a call, because I love talking with people, I love doing business. So, and actually there was a pretty huge publisher. I'm not gonna say the names, I'm not a big fan of sharing the names, but what happened next, we kind of got our faith restored because they offered us quite a huge amount of money, actually what we needed to finish up the game, and the faith was finally restored. What happened next? Publishers. So yeah, so publishers, the thing about publishers is that if you really want to learn more about the indie game publishers and how do they work, there's a very good YouTube speech in CDG, I think, if that's how it's called. But actually, if you choose a publisher, it's usually chosen for life, and if you're gonna make any more games, develop more games, you will actually work with them for the second time most of the time, or they will at least ask in the agreement, so they will be the first one to know that you're making a sequel or another game. So what happened to us, the first guy who offered us the funding, we negotiated with them for 4 months, where at least we thought we were negotiating it, but they were just adding more and more on top on the agreement, some stuff which at the very end the agreement looked like 30 pages, and like if you even fart, you will get like 5,000 euros less for your investment. So that was really scary for us, and because my father is a lawyer, we kind of always went to him for some kind of a guidance. And yeah, the only thing what they really told us is about how much we need a demo and why we need the demo. So first of all, we were very concerned about having a demo of the game at all, because we're gamers from the childhood and we know what happens with a demo. If you play the game and you don't like it, you will never ever buy it. But the thing with demos, especially in Steam, it's a very, very, very important thing for any kind of an indie game, just because we learned so much from the publishers even before choosing to work with any of them, is that if you want to be seen in the Steam, you have to have wish lists. If you want to get wish lists, like, you have to show something. So if your community channel in the Discord or Steam is empty, there's no way of you getting any wish lists. So if you make a free demo, there's at least some kind of a user testing and some kind of a feedback, and people actually can start liking your product. And in the Steam, there's not really much ways you can promote your game. So one of the best things what you can do is adding a kind of a button showing you that the game is going to release soon. So from the demo, you're actually forwarding the person to the real game so he can wishlist it, and so it kind of makes this loop where you start getting wishlists. So that's what we heard from the publishers, and we kind of understood that we have only one chance to show ourselves and how good we are, how our game is good, is that we saw that there's a Steam Autumn Festival coming on, and that was our main goal, to actually make a great demo, add some music, make it without any bugs, and just see what happens. What happened is actually we got tons of wish lists, tons of people who came to our community, both on Steam and Discord, and actually we started getting real fans. We started having first videos on YouTube, and all of that was absolutely organic, just because the game was great, and our genre was in such a small niche, because our genre of the game is actually like an auto battle simulator, city builder, management game. So whenever you go to a Steam festival, then top 3 games are always the same, but if you scroll just a little bit lower, we're always appearing in the first screen of the category, because there's just no games that are great in this kind of a genre. So this was kind of the best marketing we ever got, because we're always on the first page of every genre that we put in. So next thing what happened, that we actually chose a publisher, which was totally different one than the one we were talking about for 4 months. And I'll tell you why this happened. One Monday morning, the guy from Grab the Games, Rafal, he wrote me, "Hey man, have you already signed your agreement with the other guys?" And I said, "No, we're gonna do this on Thursday." And he told me, "Yeah, I heard this about a month ago, so what's happening?" I said, like, that it's just not going as great as we thought, and blah, blah, blah. And he said one thing that, I always remember this when I go to some kind of a new job, or I'm going for a new work position, and they tell you, "Yeah, we love you, it will be great having you here," but they never call, right? So if they really want you, there is no time to waste. They will instantly tell you that they want to work with you. So the thing with the guy from Grab the Games was, he first told me that he wants to invest in our game, but he's launching few games right now, and he actually don't have the money right now. And then he told me, "I have the money. Are you signing with them or with me?" I was like, "Can you send something like tomorrow?" And 6 hours later, it was night. He's from America. So 6 hours later, he gave us the agreement, and the agreement was 10 times thinner, and the investment was 2 times bigger than the other guys that actually offered us something. So actually, we went with this guy, and by the time we were having Steam Festival, there was another 4 publishers that actually contacted us. So don't lose hope, guys. I think everything can be done. Yeah, and then a little bit about the release. I think after we got the investment from Grab the Games, I wouldn't say that the anxiety kind of decreased. I think we just kind of regained the hope that we can continue to develop the game, because we were definitely running out of money, and we expanded the game in so many ways that it was hard for us to understand how we will be able to finish it in another 8 months. So the anxiety was just growing and growing before all the release. And I can just tell you a few things that if you would ever decide to make an indie game for yourself or with buddies in a small team, some things that you should consider. So first of all is about user testing. And this is another thing that I learned from experience and in university is that like in Lithuania, we have this kind of mentality that you should not share your business idea with people because they might steal it. Nobody's gonna steal it. They're not gonna do it. That's 99%. So with testing is pretty much the same. Like you should not show your game to other people to test it out because it's in a bad state. Like they will see it, they will not buy it. Like your friend's never gonna buy your game. Right? You're gonna give it for free, right? So just give the game for your friends to play it because the first time we ever gave somebody to test the game, I think it was Paul D'Amico, and I met him in Game On, the last Game On that happened, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna play the game. And once he started playing the game on stream, he found such a crazy bugs we would never ever think of having in the game. Like we would never do that because we were so used to playing the game how we know we did it, right? So you have to give people to test the game as soon as possible. So in the very late stage, you will really save up some time on quality assurance. Then another thing is about the pain of localization. At the very beginning, we didn't know that we're gonna scale up the game so much. So we just did it in the very in the most simple way possible. And then about a few months before the release, we realized that we're going to translate the game into 18 different languages. So for our developer, that was like the worst news because I could not do anything about that, and our designer could not do anything about it. He's the only one who can code. So yeah, guys, if you ever do any kind of game, just think about in the future that you might get invested in, like you might get an investment and maybe you will scale up. So just if you would start by doing the game that it might be scalable in the future, try doing that instead of leaving it for the last few months before the release. And the last one, what I realized is that in the very beginning we thought that if we'll make a game that will be compatible with Mac, it will be a great selling point. It's not. People who have Macs, they don't play computer games usually. And if they do, they have M1 and the game is not compatible with M1. So it's just crazy. We never had more than 1% of our sales for Mac. And making a new version for Mac, testing it, takes exactly same amount of time that doing that for PC. So it's crazy how much time we wasted just thinking about that having a Mac version is great. 1% less revenue, I don't want to think about it. Okay, so this is what we got. This is our legendary trailer. I think it was played in the Lithuanian Game Awards as well. We got nominated in four out of 6 nominations for the best Lithuanian game, I think. Yeah, we have a great soundtrack. We never got lower than 72% of Steam rating. Even if our demo is free, we still got more than 1,500 reviews with a 72% positive rating. And the last thing, what I would recommend to all of you, if you ever make a dark humor game, you can insult everyone except the Chinese, because they bring a big chunk of their profits and they boycotted us. So I definitely recommend you not doing that, because that's what happened when you kind of make fun of Chinese.
You don't remember who you are nor what your name is. You're also neighborhood, and suspicious traders are just a drop in the ocean of the encounters you will face during your journey to seek for answers. The question is, are you the chosen one, or just another stray dog?
Okay, and the future. So just like everybody who at the very end of their presentation says that they're hiring. So yeah, my plan is right now to make this game into a blockchain game. Let's go. And we're already started building the team. We have a pretty good investment, and I think it's gonna be even bigger game with more fun and less black humor. Sorry, dark humor. And yeah, so if anybody's interested and have some something to offer that we could maybe collaborate on this second version of the game, I would be happy to have a chat with you after the presentation. So thank you.
Ooh, thanks a lot. One or two questions?
Hi, thanks for awesome presentation. If you are uncomfortable answering this, you can skip this question, but I'm just really curious. How did you insult Chinese?
Oh, that's my favorite topic, actually. So we had a map that was called Little China. And yeah, and because I mean, next time if I'll have any kind of speech in this association, I'll maybe have a little bit more in-depth talk, but we were really cutting the costs of our budget in every way possible. So we're using Mixamo animations for the game, if anybody is aware of that. So, and like 80% of the animations there are fighting animations. So that was kind of a way we thought of going into auto battling. And there were some funny animations that we thought like we could use them as well. So there was this kind of afraid of the mouse animation. And we put that on a cop in a Chinese city. And he was afraid of the Chinese COVID zombies. So that was very offensive to them, apparently. Yeah.
Hello. I would like to ask a question about the publisher. So imagine if no publisher showed up. Would you have continued the game, or it would be like be thrown out? Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, we had no idea. I mean, I had so many things that I would like to tell you, but you know, when I kind of prepared this at home, I thought like it will take about 2 hours if I'll say everything what I wanted. So I think there's one thing that I've learned in the university is that there's this thing called leap of faith, where you actually just do it, right? Like, so we had that leap of faith before starting the game and actually borrowing some money from Angel and making it. Then we had some leap of faith making the Kickstarter. And then I think, you know, it kind of happened naturally because we were always believing. We were like, we know that we're in deep shit financially all the time, but we were continuing doing it, you know? And it happened, and I don't know, like, we would probably release it in a early access kind of way without any marketing or anything. We didn't really do any marketing either. It went naturally after the Steam festival. So I don't know, I think it would be probably early access.
Thanks. Do we have someone?
I have a lot of questions. I've been following you, but I'm gonna leave some time, maybe talk afterwards, because I've kind of followed since I think the first Kickstarter. I guess my main question was then as well. So you have a fairly interesting color palette, and I mean of the game, and also it permeated the marketing as well. You know, all the images in the Kickstarter, and I mean. The graphics, they don't look very tasty because you're talking about garbage and, you know, hobos, and I mean that's the whole theme. And how do you think that influenced, for example, Kickstarter and marketing? And do you think that has that limits how big this can go.
Okay, kind of get the question. I think that the last presentation that we had about marketing explains a lot of, like, gives a lot of answers. First of all, I think because Kickstarter was our first thing where we're doing something there, people could not play the demo. People could not see the reviews in the YouTube or anything. So all they've seen is what we kind of gave them. So I think in the Kickstarter sense, it wasn't really great because it was grim, dark, and the topic was kind of controversial. But after we launched the demo and people actually play it, it's same situation as with RuneScape. Like, you can hate RuneScape all your life, and then once you try it, you're like, I'm addicted, right? So because nobody cares about the graphics if the game is great. So it was our situation as well, that the people who tried the demo, they kind of just, you either love it or hate it, right? So we have some people who have on our demo, which is, you can beat it in 15 minutes, like maybe 30 minutes if you're like never been to school, right? There's people who have 700 hours gameplay on that demo. So I cannot even explain you that either. But like, if you like the game, you don't really care about the graphics. And some people love the cheesy jokes, you know? Somebody love the, you know, like that kind of offensive humor or whatever. So I think, yeah, in the very beginning, when you don't have the demo, it's against you. But once you have the demo for people to play, actually, then the way you market it, it doesn't really matter. It's more like for the new people who never played it. But the demo makes the difference because you can try it, if that answers the question. Okay, so first of all, as I said before, we were doing an auto-battler like simulation management game. They do not usually look great. Like people who like these games, they're just weird in general, right? So the games that we were going after, and like the biggest influence was Domina and Punch Club. Both of those games look like they were made in 80s, right? It's a pixel art. So I think we kind of step up the game with making it 3D. I mean, there was a lot of issues that we came along with, like the programming of the 3D, right? But I think it really represented the whole kind of vibe of the game of being like a homeless. So it's like dark, grim. The graphics isn't the best. Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Sorry. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to Mindaugas. It was really, really cool. And yeah.